Next, let's make some quick changes. I'm going to change this window again real fast. It'll only take a second. We're going to use the color we're using already. Change this to 4 pixels. Go back to face selection, 3 on the number pad to go to side view. Should already be on the line brush. And what we're going to do is just go over these black lines and make it this other color instead. I just wasn't really happy with the total black color that we had. But again, if you want to use a different color, like if you want to leave it the way it is, it's totally up to you. It's not going to make any difference really. And Control Shift Z is to redo things if you change your mind. I just used that command, so I figured I'd mention what it was for. I just wanted to see what it looked like before and after, basically, to make sure I was making the right decision. Then once we're done with this, we'll just start. I'm going to make sure the emblems have the right colors on them. And then I'll show you how to do the hood line in case you want to know how to do that. So it's less obvious now that that line is there, so it's a little, just kind of fits in with the rest of the theme a little more, I think. But again, it's up to you. So now that that's done, I want it to go here in the front and make sure that this this logo is all set. So make sure you're in face selection, Alt H to unhide everything. And it's going to be easier to select things in edit mode, so switch to edit mode. I'm already in face select. If you're not, just switch it to face selection. And I'm just going to select one of these faces randomly, and then hold Alt and right click on one of these edge loops. Hold Alt and Shift to get this inner one. It should give you the whole thing all the way around. I'm going to press period to focus in this, and then hold Alt and Shift and get this last edge loop. You should have all of it by now. And then we're going to go back to texture paint. I'm already in face selection, just make sure you're in face selection. And I'm going to make this basically white, but a little bit off-white, like not totally pure white. And then I'm going to press F to increase my brush size and just fill this in. But actually I'm going to change to the space brush, because that's the brush that I prefer to use when I'm filling in colors, solid colors like this. But of course you could use the line brush if you really wanted to. So that takes care of that. And the reason I was doing that is you can tell here is this is like a silver color. I wouldn't quite say it's a pure white, so I made it a little darker. I think these letters are a pure white though, so we're going to make those a pure white. And then this outline is also, it's either silver or pure white, but I think I'm going to leave it as a pure white. So I'm going to make the letters and that little outline there. So select the letter or a face that's on the letter, press L, and then just continue hovering over and pressing L on each of the letters until you have all of them. We'll do this other part separate. and then switch it to a pure white. Shift H to hide everything except for our selection, and we'll start painting. It's not really going to show any difference because it was already white, but actually it was an alpha color, so it would have been whatever color you chose for your body. So this is just making sure it doesn't take the body color. It's going to stay white instead, and that's what we want. We want to make sure this stays as a white color and doesn't change based on the body color. So now once you're done, once you're convinced that you're done, do Alt H on hide everything, go into edit mode, and we're going to try to select this outline part here. Just hold Alt and right click to get part of this loop. You'll have to select these triangles by themselves, and then hold Shift and Alt, right click to get this. And there's a couple more triangles on the back, so make sure you get all of them. When you're selecting them individually, just make sure you're holding Shift. That will add to your selection. Once you have all of it, back into texture paint, Shift H to hide, paint all of this white, use the same pure white color that we just used. And again, this is just to make sure the color doesn't change depending on your body color. It's going to be white regardless. Alt H to unhide. We're going to go back into edit mode again. This time we want to select the top of this. So I'm going to use circle select. I just selected this face. I'm going to press C for circle select and start getting some of these. Use your middle mouse to increase or decrease the brush size or the circle select size. And then you can right click to get out of circle selection and just select the ones that you missed with your circle select. Make sure you get the entire top. That looks pretty good. So back to texture paint. This time I want a red, but I'm going to do a pure red instead, so move it all the way up. You can add it to your palette here if you want, but it's up to you. And just paint. You can make your brush bigger with F if you want. That should be good. You can take a look by getting out of face selection. Looks alright. Now I'm going to do the one on the back. Good news is the letters are already done for us. The only thing we have to do is this block here. So I'm just going to actually go into edit mode real quick. Select this. Press L to get the rest of it. Period to focus in on it. Because otherwise our view would have been all messed up and it would have been more difficult. So I'm going to go back to texture paint. And I want to use one of these colors, maybe this one. Shift H to hide. Oh wait, we need to go into face selection and then Shift H to hide everything else. Paint over it. Make sure you get the sides and the back. Both sides. There's no bottom, so you don't need to do that. Alt H to unhide. There's our nice logo. Nice and dark, just like in the picture. Back here. You can tell that the black, this part's a darker color. I can't read what these words are below this. I think there's actual, possibly other words down there, but we're not going to worry about that at this point. I think we have enough detail. In the front, we also forgot to make this darker color on that centerpiece. So we have to go back to the front. And you can use the same color if you want, or you can use a totally different color. So I'm just going to select these faces here. Make sure you get these little slivers on the end, because that's part of that inner part. If you want to use a lighter color, you can use a lighter color. If you want to use the same color, you can use the same color. So, whoops, my view is all messed up, so I'm going to go to edit mode, press period on the number pad, back to texture paint to take a look at this. And I'm relatively happy with that, so that's going to be fine. So the next thing I was going to show you real quick, I don't always add this in, but I just wanted to show you just in case you wanted to add it. It's like the hood lines here, or the door lines, for example. I don't know if there's a good picture of that. Well, yeah, there's a little bit of it here, but then you can also do the lines, like you could make a black outline around this and try to make like this right here, this little cut that goes up here. But I'll show you how I would do it. I mean, there's probably better ways to do it, because when I do it, it doesn't look too amazing, but it looks okay, I guess. So I'll show you how I do it, just so you have at least some method to do it with. First, I'm going to change this to 3 pixels. We're going to go down here and use the curve method again. We have this curve, we don't want it, so we're going to press plus. Make a totally new curve. Make sure you're in face select. Select all the faces that you need, but actually we need to make sure we're on a different brush, because when you're in curve, it just doesn't let you select like you're supposed to. It'll do that with the curve brush, and also there's a different one that does it. But we'll deal with that later. It's the texture one, that's what it is. If you have a texture and you're using that to paint with, it'll also make it so you can't select like this. But we'll deal with that later, because we are going to be using a texture at some point for the carbon fiber. So you want to take a look at this. Look at the start point and the end point. So the start point is like, it almost basically lines up with this really dark part on the window. On this edge, it's where it starts. It curves down, and it's going to curve just below the logo. So you want to try to mimic that. You could also see it if you go to edit mode, press 7 on the number pad, and Z for wireframe. It's here. Well, you might want to hide the car first, but it is right here. There's this line that'll show you where the hood goes. The hood line is. So you can use either one for reference, or you can use both, of course. But I'm going to go back to, well, first I'll press Z to get out of wireframe, and then I'll go back to texture paint. And what we want to do is change this to the curve brush. And over here, since it's mirrored, we only have to do it on one side. But I'm going to make a point where it starts, which is basically here. And I'm going to make 2 points down where this curve is, because usually if there's a curve, it's not going to look that great with 1 point. Sometimes you can get it to look okay, but I prefer to have 2 points, and then another point just below the logo for where it ends. Now what we want to do is try to curve this. So select some points until you get the ones that will allow you to curve it. And make a curve, something like this. Click draw curve. There's the dark line, but what you can also do to kind of simulate depth a little bit. Yeah, it's not really, you can't really see here, but what you can do is change the color to something lighter. I use this color for my initial hood line, by the way, in case you didn't see me change it. But if you change to a lighter color, maybe something like this, and switch this down to 1 pixel, and then do draw curve again, it'll lighten it up a bit, but there'll still be 1 pixel to the left and 1 pixel to the right that is the black color, but the center line will be a lighter color. So if you take a look at it, it's easier to take a look at it if you turn off the curve. So you can see that there's just like this little black outline around it, and it's very subtle, but it's still there. So that just gives it a little more visual interest, I guess, whatever you want to call it. And that's why I used 3 pixels when I started, because then there would be enough to have 1 pixel on each side of my 1 pixel line. So you got 1 pixel here in the middle, 1 pixel to the left, 1 pixel to the right, which is of course 3 pixels, which is why I chose 3, so that it would be basically even on each side. So that's how you can do that. And you can, if you wanted to have it sort of a thinner line, you could try to zoom in more, because your amount of zoom will change how your brush acts, and you could get a thinner line. I'm relatively pleased with how mine came out, so I may just stick with that for now. So before we lose everything again, I'm going to just go ahead and save these. So we're going to go to Image, Save as Image, Save it as Details, go to File and save your Blender file.